fix this phone? I don't know. I have a new tripod and I don't know how to use it. Like that, maybe. Let's see. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, it's twisted. Uh-oh. Ah, this is a new one. Maybe like that. Yes. Hello, everybody. I love this little one. It's so clear. Ooh. So, some news. Feeling much better. Some people were wondering because I said I would speak about my experience about coughing since it started when I arrived in Thailand. I don't even remember when I was there. It's 1 month and a half, I guess. And I coughed every night, so I spoke about that. And I realized it was linked to several things. So what I wanted to say that regarding the time we are going through, I always speak about that. Maybe it's abstract for some people, but the planet is changing frequency, and we are like little organisms, like little cells of the planet. And we have to raise frequency with the planet. So through our physical body and sometimes emotional and mental and spiritual body, it's not easy. Spiritual, it's easier because we have a wider view and more, global view than the physical or emotional. And but every levels are intricated. They are all interactive. So if we are touched, I can say even spiritually, by our emotions of our soul, by something in the relationship or in the physical world that is happening, the physical is also touched. It's what had happened, because what is important to know during this time is that regarding the transformation that is going on in the planet, that is a very intense time of big transformation, and we are obliged to follow. What is happening is that the frequency is changing, and our way to vibrate, we are all frequency, all electric beings, is also changing. So this disturbs our physical body. Physical is a lower frequency than spiritual. It's incarnated, it's dense, it's a lower, so it's lower, it's grace of that we can be incarnated. Oh, my baby is here, oh, so cute. He's here all the time now. So this, when we came here on this planet to live incarnation, the thing is that our weak point, if I can say, in the physical, when there are big changing at the level of the frequency of the planet, we are affected to this weak point that we have in our body. For me, it's the length. For a lot of people, it's the length, for also another reason. But individually, I'm speaking for me, my experience, my life experience. I spoke about that many times, so I have the feeling to repeat again and again, but it's very important maybe to have this repetition to, again there, to understand better the patterns. I born when it was a very, very cold winter east of France. And actually that year in 1955, the sea in Marseille was frozen. And when I born, I had something that created a trouble with my lungs. And I failed to die, and they baptized me at the hospital, thinking I was dying at 3 days. And they put me under what we call the oxygen tank, that is in fact an incubator that was just created. So at that time, in 1955, and I've been there 2 weeks. So this means that as baby, as soon as I was born, I experiment difficulty in my body, and also abandon. I felt abandoned because I was without the contact with my mother, apart her milk that she was pumping, but I could not have the touch of my mother for 2 weeks. And a baby without being touched, it's the most important thing, because imagine you are in the womb, you are surrounded by that. It's like a nest, and you feel the touch is very important, and it's warm, and it's comfortable until the point you need to get out. So I had the experience maybe 35 years ago. I was doing a workshop about the sound and the voice, and I went on this workshop not at all knowing what I will experiment. And in fact, we did a kind of it was not hypnosis, it was just an exercise of relaxation, and I've been to be really in the body. And at a moment I felt I was in fact connected to the memory in my body, in my soul, maybe, where I was in the womb of my mother, and I was feeling the pressure that it was too narrow, too small there, that I had to go out. And I was feeling on my spine the layer of the womb of my mother. And it was comfortable, but in the same time I knew I had to go away. And this was so strong. I really felt like I was at that time when I was experimenting that, like I was a baby, was feeling how it was in the womb to be so narrow and to be obliged to get out. In fact, I born bridge and with the cord around my neck. So my first contact with outside was my butt, my feet, and this created in me a kind of, and it was an emergency because I could not breathe. So later I realized, doing more and more workshops in bioenergy and in cell memory and all that for quite like 15 years in my 30s, I realized that moment of birth imprinted in me a pattern. So the pattern was, it was difficult to come, it was an emergency, and I had absolutely to get out of that. So it was dangerous, but in the same time, I guess I found, and my mother too, the energy to get out and to don't suffocate enough to die at that moment. But maybe this created the difficulties that I had later. Later, when I started to work in osteopathy avec this osteopath in Paris, that was, I don't know if he's still alive, he was quite aged. So I worked several times on cell memory by difficulties in my body. So I had this bronchitis chronic for 10 years of my life when I was a child, after that birth. And so length always been my weak point. But length, it's connected, and we know this in Chinese medicine, meridian length and big intestine, it's the same meridian, and it's connected at the emotional level to sorrow, sadness. I realized in my life, every time I was changing my life, I was going on something new, I was rebirthing, I was letting a place to go back to a new one, unknown. Every time I had this kind of cough coming, very strong, that I don't had since when I was teen, it was finished. And I had, when I was younger, it was an homeopath doctor who was treating me because, and my family, my aunt and grandmother, mother's side, they were Jehovah's Witnesses, so I could not have, you know, the medical drugs or any kind of things like that, or injection, vaccination. So I was treated by homeopathy and plant. And the doctor said to my family, when she will be 11, when she will have a period, and I had them at almost 11, 10:30, 11, all this will stop. And it's true, all this stopped. And I was not coughing anymore because I was coughing like 6 months a year. I could not stay in the classroom. I had to go out. I was coughing so much. It was really painful. When I started to work in energetic and in, you know, cell memory, I realized that it was connected to this deep sorrow, sadness to be abandoned by my mother. But beyond that, it was also a spiritual thing, that it was a spiritual condition, because it was a sadness and sorrow to quit this invisible world where in fact everything was more easy than the incarnation. And it was this memory of that created that deep sorrow, sadness, that was kind of nostalgia inside of me. And I discovered as well, doing all these workshops and having this session with cell memory, that the nostalgia was also coming because when my mother was pregnant of me, it was a twin with me. And at 3 months old, I discovered that during session, long time later I've been born, I discovered that in my 40s. And my mother, I asked her before that how I born, and she told me that it was normal, that for her it was normal, even if it was breech, you know, and the condition. And how was the pregnancy? And she said, oh, everything was fine, just I lost a little bit of blood at 3 months pregnancy, but it was okay. And this stays always. And when I had this reading, during one of the sessions of osteopathy, that in fact I had a twin, because I was working, where is coming this feeling of nostalgia? I was wondering where this was coming. I saw that it was maybe the fact to be with baby not in contact with my mother. I saw that it was also the spiritual, the soul that was sad to, in a way, to be incarnated. But sometimes, you know, I think sometimes some babies found a way to escape incarnation, even if the soul was okay to do it, by dying, because incarnation is very difficult. It's very dense, it's very low vibration to be in the body, so it's very hard. And sometimes I guess our souls are okay to have the experience, but there is something that is pulling us where we know somewhere it will not be easy. And I guess for me, my childhood has not been easy, so I guess I was going backward. I was not jumping in it, you know, I was just hesitating to go, and maybe it's for that I had this breech birth, because I didn't want to go through the experiences I will have. The soul knows, so sometimes, you know, it's like, it's a little bit tricky. So this, in fact, created in me the fact that my mother lost the twin when she was 3 months pregnant. So I spoke to her after. I said, you know, I worked, because she knew I was telling her about the workshop and all the work I was doing. She was also followed by the same osteopath. So, and she was really open to that. And I told her, you know, I did a session and this is what happened. And there are chances that it was a twin with me and you lost it. You told me you had blood at 3 months, and there are chances that the other pregnancy went not through. And I was always searching and sad to don't have my brother with me, because for me it was a boy. And I realized also this later, after giving birth to my own kids, because I started all this work in osteopathy and cell memory in my mid-30s. So my kids were already grown, but when I was pregnant of my son, I wanted to have twins. And after I remember, I said, oh yeah, it makes sense. I wanted to have twins. I wanted to have a boy and a girl in the same time, you know. And I was a little bit disappointed to don't have twins. So all that was making sense. So I noticed that every time I made a change in my life. Like, for example, when I quit France to go in New York and live in the US 25 years ago, I had the same thing. I'd been sick, like coughing, impossible to sleep. I knew the pattern, but it was quite not enough. And it was very interesting because I was finding myself in the similar situation like I was with my mother, where I felt abandoned. I felt abandoned by someone I was trusting. And I see now my mother passed away in 2021. And so it was like, I knew the pattern. I was living it again and last only 2 weeks. Because when I realized what was going on, I found the energy to take decisions, make choices, being alone in New York, and without fear. And I jumped. And here I am on Thanksgiving Day in 1999 in New York, in an apartment where nobody knew me, where I had to pay 1 year rent in advance because I had no history in the country. So all this, it was middle of winter. After I was not sick, everything went fine. I had this also when I moved. I thought I was going to move recently in Thailand. October, when I was there, I started to feel that it would be not the place for me to be, at least now. Because I decided last year to move for June 2024. But when I was in October, something was not flowing. And I said, I could not really see because I was not, in a way, in my house. So I bought that house. I have no regrets. It's a beautiful house. But the fact to be in the house and to have like a rebirth again, changing my life again, I started to cough as soon as I arrived in Thailand. And I coughed 10 nights and day, 10 nights without sleeping. I was totally exhausted. Unfortunately, I forgot my essential oils that I always have with me. So I have homeopathic. So I have the homeopathic, but I don't have my essential oils. And usually I take this and it's really helping me a lot. What I did, I contacted my friend Bernard. You may heard about my work with him since 23 years at distance in bioenergy. And he tested me and he said, you know, it's really strange because you are very well centered. So this means you can face the situation. You have the resource to face the situation. But I knew it was at another level. Sure, it was the dust, maybe even if the house is new, there is a dust, there are the thing with all the workers, all these emotional things, and in a way something was making me feeling maybe like when I born, suffocating and abandoned, because I was not getting the support I thought I could have. So I was sad, in fact, and I could not see it. In fact, it was so in the unconscious that my unconscious is to find a way by my physical body to make me realize what was going on. My body knew before I knew, before I saw, before I was aware of it. My body knew already the situation. because in the visible world we are all connected. So, and everything is there. So at the spiritual level, invisible level, it was already there, but it was not arrived at my consciousness. And as it was just on the hinge, it was something, it was difficult for me because it was too sad to see that it was somewhere in compatibility with something I thought possible. So to be really sure I don't miss it and I see the pattern once again in my life, the spirit through my soul, emotional is linked to the soul, the emotion in the invisible and conscious was already there, gave a way for this to go in the flesh, for me to be aware. As I know all these mechanisms and patterns, sure, when I was like that, I was wondering, it was not comfortable, it's not at all, but I knew it was something in process, and it was even out of question that I go and see a doctor who will give me a drug, because I knew if I take a drug, it's going to cut the spiritual process. It's going to cut my process of awakening in a way, because it's going to numb a part, it's going to stop something, but it's going to stop something deeper as well. As I know that, and I trust that process because I went through many times, I don't tell you do that. If you feel you have to go to see a doctor, you go to see the doctor. Me, I knew that something was at work deep inside of me, and I didn't know how long it will last, but I knew that something was at work. So the experience was very interesting because when I was in October, I felt it was not the place. So I had, in a way, to grieve the fact that that house that I bought, finally I have one house. I'm owner of a house in my life at almost 70 years old. That was my goal, to don't have a rent to pay anymore. But more I was going to go back, like almost 2 months ago, since October, more I was feeling that it was not making sense, that in fact it's not really a place I would love to live, for several reasons. So I had a kind of deep inside sadness, sorrow, like a grieving to grieve a situation that was not viable for me, like a death of something, and to face a renewal that was a renewal of the new me who faced that grief, to do that, all that, and to go on something else. And that in fact it's me being here. And this doesn't mean I will not go there, but now I'm going to go there differently. And because deep inside, my soul knew that it's not the time for me, June 2024, to move to Thailand. And I had a lot of signs since many months. When I started to investigate for the moving, with the moving company, I realized that no, interdiction of that, interdiction of that, this you cannot bring, this you cannot bring. I said, I really don't like interdictions. And so I face myself. Is it because you don't want to let your things, this is just material things, where is the problem? And go on something else. I did that in my life. So, and I had no problem to let everything when I quit Paris. But now it's different. And I realized, no, it's not right. It's because, so it took me a while to think about that, to be alone with that. And in fact, when we are sick, it's something very important. Are like, let me take off this. When we are sick, it's for us to be with ourselves. And me, I had to digest a lot of things. I had to review a lot of things. And it's not only to be mental. I had to feel deeper what was right. No, why it was like that. Why maybe doing that I will be less engaged to the collective because I will be more, on an individual relationship. And in fact, I realized that, and this is what I say to people at menopause and after menopause, women and men as well, we are here to transmit. We are here to give about our experiences, to accompany others on the path with the knowledge we have, the wisdom we have. That is ours. It doesn't mean that it's for everybody the same, but maybe it can be an indication. It can be just a little thing that can, give some new way to see life to others that are a little bit stuck or that have not really all the options. And even when you are quite aware of things, often you don't see, because from ourselves it's very difficult to see. So I speak often about to be witness of ourselves, in the same time being present. So it seems a little bit contradictory or paradoxal, but it's like, in fact, it's like to have a wider vision. Like when you look there, but in the same time you can look there. And it's the same with consciousness. You have a focal point at something that is a challenge, but this is a thing to make you centered, but not to be obsessed by that, to be present. This is a thing to make you be present and to let go and to open the field of vision. And often when you do that and you let go a little bit that thing, but that thing was necessary. This is what is important. The challenges that are coming, that it be health or that it be in our relationship or in our work, it's really, we in a way we created this situation. Like my body created the situation in Thailand for me to be in this weaker way to be. Because when we are weak, when we are affected in the body, we are weak. When we are weak, in a way, and I had a lot of energy inside, I felt it, but it was weak because at another level, I had to bring my attention to something. When we are weak, we have less resistances. We have less, how I could say, we are more soft. We are more soft with ourselves. We are less judgmental. For me, it's like that. I don't have energy after to put too much thought or this or this or this. No, I just, breathe, feel the pain, and when you cough nonstop, it's really exhausting. So for me, I was like, okay, I have this experience in my body, but it has been a long time. When I quit here before going in Thailand, I was amazed. I said, I cannot believe I feel so good. I rarely in my life felt so good. And some days after, I'm traveling and here I am. And it's, what is amazing, what I noticed as well. Because before going in Thailand, I was in Paris. My friend Patricia, who's going to be here, she arrives tomorrow for some days with me, who kindly proposed me to do a shawl sale at her home in Paris. And I did, and I invited some of my followers who came, and we had 3 afternoons together, and it was wonderful. It was really, really, really nice. And in fact, it was quite a magical moment to be all us together, all these women. It was really nice, and it was not only about shawls. It was about connecting, and everybody was saying tu in French, like very friendly. The ambience was really nice. Bernard, my friend, bioenergetician, came, and we had really, really a nice time. And this was a wonderful energy, and I noticed several times in my life when I have a very, very wonderful energy like that, and it happened several times, and sometimes I've been very affected in my body. Every time after I have something in my body, and it's not because it's like, oh, you had something good, something bad is arriving. No, no, no. It's because the energy of light and love was so strong that it's pushing you to be on that frequency more, and everything that is like, you know, residue or things inside of you that are not resolved or well seen or you are not aware of, or it's in process, that is not on that frequency, a little on a lower frequency, this beautiful frequency of love and light that was there is pushing, and I don't want to say clearing, is pushing that is not, that is what is obsolete, what do you don't need anymore. And it goes through all this process of sickness, but for me it's not sickness, it's disease. It's a disease, it's uncomfortable, it's not easy. This is the thing, it's not sickness, it's a passage from one state to another one, but it's always for the best. And I took some decisions since then, and now I feel really good. I cough more than a month. Now it's almost done, but it has been really, really long. So what I wanted to say about the cough, individually, I had a lot of messages of people who been through coughing and are still going through coughing. What I want to invite you eventually to see that way, I don't say it's right, I don't say, but it's the way I see that, as I cannot detach myself from the collective, being really on my individuality. I really am not, you know, go in a trend, or I don't go. I am wall on my individuality. I'm open to the world for sure, but that we want or not, we are all affected by the collective because of the change frequency of the planet, and we are organisms of that planet, so we are obliged to follow. On the planet Earth, what do we need as humans? One of the most important thing, it's breathing and water. These are the most important thing. Breathing is common to every organism alive, I would say, on the soil. Even fishes, they breathe their own way. But us, earthy creature, we need to breathe. So when there are big changes, that it's been man-made by all what they do, that disturb nature law, that disturb nature, we are affected by that. But I don't want even to see this in a negative way and say, oh, they put the chemtrail, this is bad for me. I feel it. When there are chemtrail, I feel foggy. But I decide inside that I'm not affected by that, and I go even beyond that. I decide that somewhere my being, physical being, gonna find a way to don't be affected, but even beyond, to use for its benefits something from that thing. And in fact, what is going on, we are affected, but if we are not scared, if we don't go in the thing, oh, it's terrible, oh my goodness, they are spraying us and that. No, we observe it, it's a fact. But maybe as a collective unconscious, it's what we create for us to realize our power with our mind, to realize that we can create with our mind our own reality despite the outside of us, our body, the situation that are outside of us. And this is where is our power. It's that we are never victims. We are actors of this big thing. We decided, our souls decided to come in that time with the circumstances that are there to be part of this big change. And these things, exterior to ourselves, they are part of the process of maturating of the human race to go to a spiritual race. And when I say spiritual, I am not speaking about a new aging thing. I am speaking about how us as human, we can connect to spirit, to the supreme intelligence that created everything, and that we are also creator like this supreme intelligence that we cannot see, like we cannot see the invisible part of ourselves, but we are part of this big invisible creator. And this is the only way that is possible to do. It's connected to spirit with our heart, emotional, our soul. It's the place of the soul is the heart. It's emotions, and it's loving, and it's our heart. And to use our heart with our desire of love and beauty and goodness, connected with spirit, and use our mind to create this reality. It's all about that. And all the challenges we have, especially more and more and accelerated since these last 3-4 years, it's all for the human race to develop this ability to use the mind in a proper way of creativity, creating. We created everything with mind. Look, I have this object, it's a beautiful object. Someone thought about that and make it real, physical. So if we have the ability to think and create things, look at what does artists, everything you can see. It's like, and the most amazing creator is nature. When you have, look, this is a fossil, millions of years ago. It's unbelievable. Nature is the most amazing creature, but we are at the same image. Look, we create life in our own bodies. It's unbelievable. And this is a physical thing, but we can do the same at the spiritual. And it's what is going on. It's what is going on right now, the process. It's that the human race is evolving. It's a big, big, big change. Like, we cannot even apprehend how it's big, because we are in the process. We can feel that something very strong is happening. A lot of people are disturbed, especially if they never saw themselves and others other than physical being. If they don't have the consciousness that we are much more than that, it's very difficult, because everything seems to crawl around. But when you are aware of this dimension, when you are aware of your divine dimension, oh, it's wonderful. There are no fears. You go through the thing. You have, it's difficult because there are terrible things going on the planet, and they are put to light more and more, because it's a time of revelation. They said apocalypse, it's about revelation, and it's what is going on, because the light, the frequency is higher and higher. So everything that is in the shade, the frequency, the light is speeder. So everything that is in the shade is shaken by this. It's enlightened. So it's come to the surface. But it was there. It's not something new. It's not that we are worse than 100 years ago or 200 years ago. It's different. It's another expression of this part of, human thing that is not enlightened. The light, the frequency raising obliges us to be more and more clear, because if we don't, we cannot ascend. The planet is ascending. And as humans, as all other creatures, you can see the plants. We can observe with the plants very much. They ascend all the time. They grow, and our physical body stopped to grow at one point, but after, it's the consciousness that is growing. And the consciousness is growing by the challenges that we are living in the physical body. So as human, it's like that. The incarnation, it's about being in the flesh, incarnated, karna, it's the meat. We have to live the experience in our flesh. And more we go deep inside, and if we don't go deep enough sometimes, spirit by our soul creates situations that emotionally are very hard. And when we don't get it, when we cannot face the situation, or when we cannot do the change that the situation would oblige us to do, it's then we become sick. It's then we become sick and it's beating stronger and stronger and stronger until we are totally without being able to move, to understand something. And this doesn't mean it's a punition. It doesn't mean that we are punished. It means that we have to stop and to just, the best thing to do in this moment is to surrender to what is, and to say, okay, it's hard. I know I have something to see there. I don't know what it is yet, but I want to be enlightened. And I embrace that situation, I integrate it, and I let work through me. And when you do that, you don't put resistance. So the situation can flow at its own rhythm. Because when we stuck on and we are stressed about it and we are full of fear, we lose the vibration, and that flow cannot flow and the situation cannot evolve and often resolve by itself. I noticed recently that I was in a situation that I was a little bit upset. And I had a choice. Or I was doing like I do all the time, I was used to do, saying things, direct, this, that. I'm like that. You know, I'm not very diplomatic. I am like going in the thing. And I thought, and if I change my way to do this, and if I stay silent and see what happens, being aware of the situation, being aware also, being aware of what I knew of the situation, but being aware also of what I didn't know, or what I knew I didn't know of the situation. This is very important, because we can see something or be in something, but we don't know the wholeness. So being in silence and having this in mind, to be in this attitude of surrendering, being aware something is going on, but not making an inflation of it, and just being there, surrendering to that, asking inside to be enlightened and silent. It's amazing. It's amazing because what is happening at that moment? You stop like a conflictual nervous energy that is emanating from you, that is in your aura, that is in your frequency, and that, in fact, will not play the game with the other of the others that are also responding to that electric energy. So when you shut down and you silence, and you are aware and you consciously decide to don't intervene in the situation, the others feel it as well. And they are not continuously in conflict, because there you are in conflict, so they cannot play the game anymore, because you don't play the game anymore. And there, like by magic, it's really like in martial arts. You saw that, you take it, and you decide to be accompanying it instead of resisting. And like by magic, things are changing in the situation. It's really fascinating. So I invite you several things. I was thinking, I have so many things I would love to say, and I'm sure I'm going to forget, and I don't prepare anything, I don't write anything. I should, maybe. Because people ask me, how do you do to be at peace? Is what I just told you. I embrace the situation. I observe, I embrace it. I know that everything is timeless. Everything is like they're gonna last. You know, everything is passing. It's like a river, you know, it's passing. It's just that it's more difficult if you want to go against the current. So it's passing, passing, passing. Nothing, everything is impermanent. I was looking for the word, it's impermanent. So in fact, you let this, when you have this in mind, when something is difficult, if you have that thing that it's impermanent, it's already making it lighter. And when you are aware of your negative thought, you observe them. I say, oh, now I have a negative thought. Okay. What you can do, it's putting your attention on something beautiful. It's like you are aware you have a negative thought. And for example, oh, I love this candle. And you just watch the beauty of the light of the candle. Or a beautiful object. Or just the sky. Or something. Or maybe, you know, touching your hair that are soft. And a beautiful clothing. Or anything. Something beautiful. Or me, when I don't feel good, I go and I cook something. Something I like. Sometimes I feel bad. It's not I feel bad, but sometimes I have also like things, you know. We are all like that. So I notice it. I'm immediately, when I'm like that, I immediately notice. Say, okay. So I go and I create something with my hands. And this, it's done. I transform this negative or low frequency energy by being aware of it and deciding to do something, you know. Or to don't do anything, or to stay, just lie down in my bed and enjoying to be in my body, feeling my body, feeling the place where it's not hurt because I'm not coughing, or because if I cough, I have pain here. But maybe there are other parts in my body that are not in pain, so I go there, enjoy it. You know, it's all these things. So it's a lot to say about this process, but it's fantastic. So I wanted to invite you to investigate in that process of growing. It's a growing process. It's a spiritual crisis that we live all our life through our experiences, that it be a relationship, that it be any kind, you know, with ourselves. So, but we all tend to go towards the light more and more, to the point where we're going to let the body to you know, be on a lighter frequency. Yeah. So I receive a lot of messages. I answer to all the messages. I thank you for your trust, because often you speak to me about very intimate situations. I wanted to tell you, I start to give private sessions. Because I have more and more demand and I spend more and more time answering messages, and it's never personalized, because when you have a relation on one-on-one, it's easier to understand better what are the needs that are satisfied or not of the person, or maybe to have insight, because often when I hear people, I have information that are coming for them, and that can be maybe interesting for them to know. I don't pretend I am a psychic or a medium or a channel. No, not at all. I'm just a human being like you, and we are all here to help each of us. So I do my part, I guess. I do what I can. But now it takes me so much time that I decided to give private session, paid for sure, and with a lot of resources. So if you are interested, you can send me a message. And I already started to do the session, and I really love it. And it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. It's such a great feeling to feel useful, to feel at service, to feel like a companion to others, to enjoy their life, you know, to to be happy, to find beauty even in the darkness, because I also go through dark times, you know. But the thing that really always helped me to stay at peace is beauty. Beauty is really the manifestation in the divine, and beauty can take different shape. It can be a beautiful perfume, it can be a beautiful music, it can be a beautiful sight, it can be a beautiful object, beauty, or something you touch, something you know, beautiful, you know, material. Beauty takes so many shapes. It's just for you to find the one that fulfill you in the moment when you feel down, because it's only by beauty that we can be healed. So this is really important, and I encourage you to find what is your weak point in your body and how in this time of big changes on the planet you can be affected, and don't be afraid of the transformation. Follow it. If you feel to go to a doctor, you go to a doctor. If you feel you need something different, you search for it, and the universe is going to bring it. I went through that, and in a violent way. In a way, it has been quite violent in my body, but I went through that, and it changed totally my life. So be curious. Don't be scared. Fear it's a good companion for you to notice that you are scared and to desire something else. To notice the fear. Acknowledge it. Yes, I'm scared about that. Why I'm scared about that? What I'm afraid to face? What could be the worst? When you are clear with that, often you realize that in the present moment this thing is not. So it doesn't exist. But if you continue to think again and again and again under that fear and fear and fear, there are chances that you manifest that thing, because we create with our mind. So I gave these things several times. When a fear is coming, what I was doing, because now it's rare that I have a fear coming, because after it's like that, and you cannot go back. More you evolve in that, it's fantastic. And less and more you know the process, the process with the fear, and more you unlock that. In fact, I always this symbol of interdiction sign on the street. You put the subject or your fear there, and you cross it. And you kind of give this to your subconscious you give it away. And you do this when you have a fear coming. And you can reflect, you can think, why do I have this fear? Is it founded? Is it now this is a threat to me? Is that and you're gonna see that slowly, more and more you investigate that, less and less it's fearful. It's like I remember, it's maybe just a small comparison, but my beautiful granddaughter, when she was 8 years old, her mother passed away, and it was very hard, and I brought her to do a small walk on a beach together in a place where nobody was going, and she was so scared of beetles, you have no idea. And suddenly, like by chance, in a beautiful seaweed, dry seaweeds, these gray, beautiful silvery seaweeds on the sand, it was this beautiful blue metallic beetle. And I was like, wow. So I went to take it, and I say, look, I have a surprise for you. And I opened my hand, and she was like, I said, no, look how this is beautiful. I said, don't, it will not do anything, look. And I took the little beetle, I took her little hand, and I put the beetle in her hand. She was like, and suddenly she was not scared anymore. And this was the subject of her fear, a beetle. And the beetle was so beautiful that I put her on the way to watch at the beauty of it. And when she had the beetle in her hand, this beautiful blue, scarab blue metallic, she realized that she was not beaten, she was not in danger, and her fear of the beetle is gone. So it's that you have to befriend with the subject of your fear, and this may be going to stimulate in you ways that you're going to create to don't be the subject of these fears, you know. So it's you can take it, fears, you can take them like a tool to create something, to don't be in that fear situation. Yeah, and you will see people wonder, how do I do to live alone here, far away from everything? I'm not far away from everything, but it's true, I have no visible neighbors, you know, and I am with the animal. Just before I had the bobcat with a rabbit on my patio. It's a rabbit in his mouth passing on my patio. I was like, I cannot believe it. I have absolutely no fear, absolutely none, because years after years, since a very long time, I observe the process, and right now, why am I going to be afraid of eventually someone going to come and break my window, or who knows what? Or maybe it's going to be an earthquake. I don't move to California because there are earthquakes. And you cross the road and you are beat by a car. You know, it's like, for me, this is, you just have to follow what you feel, what your heart would love to do, what makes you happy at the idea of, oh, I would love to do that. Oh, I love that. I would love to live in the desert. How many times I thought that when I was doing my road trips in the desert. Oh, I would love to love. And I look for lands I never found. And I'm renting, yes, but I live since 2 years in the desert. So I'm thankful, you know, because my wish is realized in a way. It's not my own, but what's going to be my own when I go on the other dimension? Nothing. So I enjoy the moment, and I'm very happy here. And I pay for that, for sure. Now that I have a house that I could not pay rent anymore, and I'm here, I prefer to be here and pay my rent. I would love that this be mine and don't pay rent, but it's not. So you see, life is all about these changes, about that, and be open to be surprised yourself about your own choices, your own decision, without regrets. I have absolutely no regrets to have spent my savings on a house at the other side of the world. Sometimes I think, oh my goodness, because who knows? Who knows? Time will reveal why it's like that, if there is a why. Who knows why I felt to make this choice? I cannot know. Maybe time will reveal things, like often it reveals. I was like, wow, now I know why I did that. Amazing. So, you know, don't have regrets. Don't think you do mistakes. We don't do mistakes, we do experiment. We came to do experimentations. So there are I don't think, oh, I did a mistake. No, because this is a negative thought that's going to bring my frequency down. So for me, I don't do mistakes. I just experiment things. And from this experiment, I can be on a position of choices. I say, okay, this worth it. Oh, no, I don't like that. Okay, but not on regrets and not on mistake. Just when you start to see things like that, your life is changing for the best, because your mindset change, your words, the word you're going to use in your mind, that's going to cross your mind, you're going to change the words. Changing the words change the frequency, the vibration, and your body going to function differently. And all is linked. It's fascinating, really fascinating. So this is what I wanted to tell you. I'm going to let you, I have a lot to do. My friend is arriving tomorrow, and my house is a little bit a mess. and I want to spend a lot of great time with her, so I'm gonna organize a little bit all that. I thank you all very much. I will try to do in French. It's difficult. As I told you, when I am on the frequency of desire to do it, it's coming and it's easier for me, even if it's not my native language. It's easier for me in English, even if my English is far from perfect. But I don't know why it's always been like that. And I was already dreaming in English long time ago before coming in the US. I never thought I would live in the US one day and become US citizen, but I was already dreaming in English. And I was waking up and say, wow, I'm dreaming in English. What is this thing, you know? So I got the message. The spirit through my soul was sending me the message because I could not miss that. I was in Paris 30 years ago and said, why am I dreaming in English? I'm not even speaking English, few times with some models, but what is that? And you see, here I am today. So who knows why I bought a house in Thailand? Who knows? And this is also something, my process is very long. I have karma in Saturn. So it's a structure, it's a very long process. So everything for me is long. It's long, but there is a time when I'm born of emergency. When I really have, my process is a little bit weird. I take my time, it's long, I know I have something to do, and it's just on the last minute that I have the energy, like when I'm born, you know, during the birth, when it's at the limit I cannot breathe, but I succeed in doing the thing I have to do. But this is my process. I observe it. I'm laughing sometimes with myself. So I cannot believe I did it again. And but I try to don't be in that, to prepare more in advance, but that I want or not. Look, in some hours my friend is coming and I've not done what I wanted to do. And again, at the last minute, I'm going to do the thing I have to do. And it's always been like that in my life. So it's quite interesting. So maybe you can identify your process as well, your pattern, and see when you repeat them and smile about that, you know. Be tender with yourself. Be tender with yourself, and you will see when you are on this frequency of tenderness, you attract people who are also on the same frequency, and life is quite more beautiful. Voilà. I thank you very much, and much love to everybody. And at very soon. Bye.